Okay, today first we will learn something about specific work being expressed as a function of certain parameters like u2, the blade velocity, cf2, the flow velocity, beta2, the exit angle for a centrifugal pump. So you see the partial impeller with the exit velocity triangle and inlet velocity triangle. We have the so-called Euler equation, W specific is equal to delta UCU, which is equal to U2 CU2 minus U1 CU1. For centrifugal pump, we take CU1 equal to 0. So finally, specific work is equal to U2 CU2, which may be written as U2 into U2 minus WU2. If you look at the velocity triangle at exit, CU2 is equal to U2 minus WU2. Okay, WU2, in small letters it is there. So instead of CU2, I substitute U2 minus WU2, and WU2 can be written as CF2 by tan beta 2. So again from the velocity triangle only, because CF2 divided by WU2 is nothing but tan beta 2, so that WU2 becomes CF2 by tan beta 2. So finally the specific work becomes specific work equal to U2 into 1 minus CF2 by U2 cot beta 2. So this may be written as specific work equal to U2 into 1 minus Q by U2 AF2. So Q is the discharge divided by AF2, the flow area at exit, should give you the flow velocity CF2. Again, it may be written as WSP, the specific work, equal to U2 multiplied by 1 minus phi 2 cot beta 2. So this phi 2 is equal to CF2 by U2, which is quite commonly called the flow coefficient. So maybe I'll be able to plot specific work as a function of discharge from this curve for different beta 2, especially for beta 2 equal to 90 degrees, beta 2 equal to less than 90, or beta 2 greater than 90. All these configuration we can plot as a graph of specific work versus the discharge. Okay. Now we go to another topic, the dimensional analysis for hydraulic turbo machines. Okay, hydraulic turbo machines are otherwise called hydro turbo machines. So in one form of classification, turbo machines divided into thermal turbo machines and hydro turbo machines. So hydro turbo machines are hydraulic turbo machines. Now about the dimensional analysis, this you must have studied in fluid mechanics, and maybe somewhere else also you might have studied. And you'll understand that the idea of units and dimensions is very, very important in science and technology to identify and to quantify the parameters precisely. Okay, so we always say that whenever we talk about some parameter, and if you are not able to express that in numbers, our understanding is very, very poor. Okay, this is what Kelvin is supposed to have said. Okay, so quantification is important, and what is that you quantify? That is the dimension. So precisely what is it? That is scientifically given by the dimension. Now there are three fundamental dimensions: length, time, and mass. Okay, so they are the fundamental dimensions. One can try to define what is length, what is time, and what is mass. Okay, or it is common experience that we have good idea about what is length and what is time, and we don't have to bother ourselves by trying to define that. Okay, now if you take the pump performance variables, there are at least 6 you can identify. The first one is the pump diameter D, by which we mean the diameter, the exit diameter of the impeller. Okay, normally we denote that by D2. So this diameter has a dimension L. See, on the right extreme, whatever I have listed, they are the dimensions of the parameters in terms of the fundamental dimensions: length, mass, and time. Okay, now the second important parameter is the speed of rotation N. So many revolutions per minute, and the revolutions or radians, it is not given any dimension. So you have only the time dimensions 1 by t. It is written as t power minus 1. The next one is density. Density denoted by rho. Its dimension is m L power minus 3. Density is mass per unit volume. And the next one is the discharge at the flow rate, so many meter cube per second. So meter cube corresponds to a dimension of L power 3 per second, corresponds to t power minus 1. Now the next one is the specific work. We denote it by WSP. That is nothing but GH, where H is the head developed by the pump. Its unit, obviously it is L square into t power minus 2, because G is acceleration due to gravity. So many meters per second square. So L per t square, L t power minus 2 into head. Head has a dimension of length. So specific work has a dimension of L square t power minus 2. Now the sixth one is power. So power denoted by P, you can easily arrive at this dimension, m L square t power minus 3. So what you do is you express power as force into velocity. Then force, you have mass into acceleration. Like that, you can get this dimension. Now about dimension analysis. Did you study in your fluid mechanics?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you must be reasonably familiar with this. So there, there are different methods of dimensional analysis, and if one is to ask what is the purpose of dimensional analysis, in turbo machinery we talk about 3 things. One is reduction of the number of variables. You have seen that there were 6 significant variables. Okay, so if you want to do some experimental study or analysis, each one you have to separately vary, but by dimensional analysis you can reduce. The term is reduce the number of variables to maybe 6 minus 3, 3 non-dimensional parameters, which will actually fully represent the flow phenomenon. Okay, the next one is we use dimensional analysis such that it gives some non-dimensional numbers which can be used for the selection of certain machines. Okay, now you see that there are axial flow machines, you have radial machines, mixed flow machines. So for a particular duty, what shape or what machine you have to select, there the dimensional parameters, non-dimensional parameters are extremely useful. So the first one is to reduce the number of variables. The second one is to select the type of machine. The third one is to predict the performance. So you have a machine, say a pump is there, some diameter, some RPM, and it is running. Now, if I make another pump, which is very similar to that, but running at a different RPM, diameter is more. Now, because of the non-dimensional parameters, we will be able to predict at what discharge, what head you will get for the new pump using this dimension analysis principles. Okay, so to sum up, for turbo machinery, these three advantages are there because the dimensional analysis gives. One is the reduction of the variables. The second one is the selection of certain variables and type of machine. The third one is the prediction of the performance. Any doubt in that? Okay, I'll continue. So this dimensional analysis is based on Buckingham's pi theorem. Okay, this theorem states that if there are n variables involving m fundamental dimensions in a particular phenomena, the system of variables can be reduced to n minus m non-dimensional parameters. So total number of variables denoted by small n, and the number of fundamental dimensions denoted by small m, and finally, the number of variables will be n minus m. So in this particular case, the total number of variables were 6. Okay, what are the 6 variables? Can someone tell me?
Diameter, speed of rotation, density, discharge, specific work, and power.
Okay, 6 are there. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Okay, now here n is equal to 6, m is equal to 3. The number of non-dimensional parameters are 6 minus 3 equal to 3. These terms are called pi 1, pi 2, and pi 3. Okay, you may wonder why the letter pi, the Greek letter pi, is used. So you will find that all these parameters are product terms, not summation terms. Had it been summation terms, one would have preferred sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, because that is a notation used for summation. So here it is a product of terms, so it is denoted by pi. So pi 1, pi 2, pi 3. To find the pi terms, we select 3 repeating variables. Say one of them is geometric, another is kinematic, and another is dynamic quantity. So that is the diameter d, the speed of rotation n, and the density rho are selected as the repeating variables. Now, something about the parameters being classified into geometric, kinematic, and dynamic quantity. In fact, in science and technology, especially in mechanics, we quantify or we categorize the variables into 4: non-dimensional or dimensional. Dimensional quantities will be geometric, kinematic, or dynamic quantity. So basically, if the parameter has only length dimension, it will be termed geometric quantity. If the parameter has time dimension and no mass dimension, it is called kinematic. Kinematic quantities can have length dimension also. Typical example of kinematic quantities, you have velocity, acceleration, even our specific work is kinematic because you have only length and time. Dynamic quantities are quantities that have essentially mass dimension. It may have length dimension and okay, now we find that we have to select 3 repeating variables based on the condition that at least one should be geometric, one kinematic, and one dynamic, and we have selected. Now, to get the non-dimensional numbers, what we do is we combine the remaining variables one at a time with these 3 repeating variables, and we can get our pi terms pi 1, pi 2, and pi 3 respectively. So to get pi 1, let us combine Q with diameter n and rho, the 3 repeating variables, such that I can write the equation pi 1 is equal to Q into d power a1 into n power b1 into rho power c1 as products. Remember, we have selected pi. Pi indicates product of terms. In summation, that is what is used. So the job is to find out the indices A1, B1 and C1, the powers of the three repeating variables. So we write the dimensional equation as pi1, which is a non-dimensional parameter. So L power 0, T power 0, M power 0, which must be equal to the first one, Q. The dimension is L cube T power minus 1. Okay. Then the next one is for diameter, that is L power A1. The next one is for N. N, the dimension is T power minus 1. So T power B1 is T power, that is N power B1 is T power minus B1. The last one is for your density. Density dimension is M L power minus 3. So density power C1 will become M L power minus 3 power C1. Is this clear? Okay, because I'm not going to repeat for the other ones, the pi 2 and pi 3 terms, this expression. Okay, now equate the indices of length, time and mass. For length, on the left hand side, that is for the pi term, you have 0. For the combined terms, you will have a 3. That is the 3 is there. Then next I have L power A1, so plus A1, and another from the last one L power minus 3 into C1, so minus 3C1. So that reduces to 3C1 minus A1. 3C1 minus A1 equal to 3. Given equation number 1. Now for time, I find left hand side it is 0 because it is non-dimensional number. Then right hand side, in the first one there is a minus 1. Then the second one there is a minus b. So I get B1 is equal to minus 1. For mass term, left hand side it is 0. Right hand side there is only one mass term, M power C1. So 0 is equal to C1. So that gives C1 equal to 0. Now, if I substitute the C value in the first equation, I get A1 equal to minus 3. Okay. So I'll be able to write the pi 1 term as Q into D power minus 3 into N power minus 1. Further, it is written as Q divided by N D cube. So we write it as Q over a cap, which is also called flow coefficient phi. So that phi is equal to Q by N D cube. So this is a non-dimensional term. Okay, it's called flow coefficient. So similarly, we have pi 2, which is this time I have added specific work GH into D power A2 into N power B2 into rho power C2. Okay, so this will give me the non-dimensional number pi 2, which is denoted as psi, the head coefficient, and its expression is GH divided by N square D square. Okay, the head coefficient. The last one is the pi 3 term. So here I have combined power with the other repeating terms. So P into D power A3, N power B3, rho power C3, which finally gives me a non-dimensional coefficient, the power coefficient, which is P cap equal to P divided by rho N cube D cube, D power 5. So we have three non-dimensional numbers. The first one is the flow coefficient, which is Q by N D cube. The second one is the head coefficient, which is GH by N square D square. The third one is the power coefficient, which is P divided by rho N cube D power 5. So these terms will be very, very useful for for predicting the performance of the machines. Okay. Now another interesting thing. See, we can combine the flow coefficient phi and the head coefficient psi. Phi is the flow coefficient, psi is the head coefficient, in such a manner that D can be eliminated to give another quantity denoted by NSH or shape number. So it is obtained by taking the square root of 5 and raising psi divided by psi raised to the power of 3 by 4. So finally I end up with the expression shape number equal to n into root q divided by gh power 3 by 4. Okay, this gives the mathematical manipulations required to get that number. So shape number is root of 5 divided by psi power 3 by 4. Psi is gh by n square d square. Phi is q by n dq. So root 5 divided by root psi power 3 by 4 is root of q, that is for phi, you know, q is there, n dq is there. That term I have brought here, and I have added the square root. Instead of n here, I have put n root. Instead of d power q, I have put d power 3 by 2. Now the second term, it is psi power 3 by 4. So gh is there in the numerator here. So here when it is in the denominator, so I put it as gh power 3 by 4. Then the other terms n square and d square, so they are written here and raised to the power 3 by 4. So some of them will get cancelled, and finally you end up with the equation NSH is equal to n root q by gh power 3 by 4. Okay, these things, you know, you may have to really work out. Just by listening to me, nothing may enter properly. Okay. You have to take time to write it step by step. Now, that's what we should have been doing in the classroom, and because of this situation, we are not able to do that. Okay. Now, you know, I'm going to give you something about the pump system characteristics. Okay. See, the pump will have its own characteristics, the head versus discharge, and the system characteristic is the characteristics of the pumping layout. The pump is always connected to something, okay, to produce pressure or head or velocity. So a simple test setup is there. So you have a motor connected to a pump, connected to a sump, and it is pumping water through a pipe, and at the end you have a valve, a flow control device to regulate the flow. Okay, now for a particular valve position, okay, when the pump is not at all working, you will have zero discharge. Okay, that is the starting point for all. Now I keep the valve slightly opened and vary the discharge by varying the speed of the motor. So as the speed of the motor increases, the discharge will increase. So this corresponds to the curve 1, where the head is plotted against discharge. Now how do I get the head is, I have a small device here between the pump and the valve. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Pressure gauge.
It is a pressure gauge. So I have to take the pressure gauge reading. Pressure is equal to H into rho g. So pressure gauge reading divided by rho g will give me the head. So I may take some 4 or 5 readings. For each reading, the speed of the motor will be increased, so that I will get higher and higher discharge. Correspondingly, the pressure gauge readings I will note, so that I will be able to plot the points along the curve 1. Remember, during this situation, the valve is kept at a constant opening. Okay. Now, I will do one thing to get the second curve. Okay. I have only the valve. So what I can do is, I can close the valve a little more or open the valve little more. Now think and tell me, to get 2, what should I do? Whether to close or to open more?
Close, sir.
How do you know?
Discharge reduced.
Yeah. So for a given discharge, the head required is more, okay? Or for a given head, the discharge will reduce. So the second position is the valve is closed a little more. Again, I repeat the experiment. What do I do is, I increase the speed. For each speed, I note down the pressure gauge value. Some 10 readings I plot, I'll get the curve 2. Okay. Another position also, I close it little more so that I get the curve 3. Now, if I completely close it, what will be the curve I'll be getting?
No discharge, sir.
So it is going to be 0. So maybe a vertical line. Okay. So maybe I may finally get the pressure, the so-called shut-off head I will be getting. Okay. Now I have another system characteristics. What is the main difference?
Static head, sir.
There is a static head. So I have to actually initially keep the valve open to some position to get minimum discharge, or to begin discharge. I have to run it through some speed, because it has to develop that minimum starting head, or the shut-off head, it has to develop. Okay, then only the discharge starts. Okay, so in this case I have the static head Hs. Then I will get the same pattern for maximum open position. I get the curve 1. As I start closing the valve, for another closed position I get 2, and some more closed position I get 3, and if it is completely closed, maybe a vertical line. Okay, this is about the system characteristics. Any doubt so far? Okay, no doubt. Okay, now
No, sir, clear.
Okay. Then about the specific speed or the shape number. Why that particular name shape number is given? I think you might not have heard about the term shape number. Maybe specific speed because fluid mechanics lab you have done, and I think in one of the classes, one of that you are divided into 2 batches. No, in one batch the fluid machinery was taught, so there maybe specific speed might have been introduced. So you should see what is the main difference between the term specific speed and the shape number. Where is the specific? Okay, this is shape number. I think I have not given specific speed. That's okay. So you find that shape number for a pump is N root Q by GH power 3/4. Okay, are you able to hear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can see that. Now this is a non-dimensional number. If you check the dimension, it is non-dimensional because the procedure we have followed is like that. Okay, so phi is non-dimensional, psi is non-dimensional. So algebraically, whatever we do with that, it will be non-dimensional only. Now, in real cases, there is another popular number, the specific speed. So in specific speed, G will not be there. Now in this also the units, very particular. That is, N is rotations per second. Okay, we use the term coherent system of units. Okay, coherent system of units. That means N should be rotations per second. Q will be meter cube per second. G is meter per second square. H is in meters. Finally, this in specific speed where G will not be there. It will be a simpler expression, N root Q by H power 3 by 4, where N will be given in RPM, rotations per minute. Okay, H will be given in meters, Q in meter cube per second. And you will have some numbers. For example, for centrifugal pumps, you may have values from 20 to 70. Then above that, maybe 70 to some 120, you will have mixed flow. Then above that, you will have axial flow. Okay, that is specific speed. And people give definitions like, it is the speed at which the pump should run when it produces a head of 1 meter cube, 1 meter with a discharge of 1 meter cube per second. Such definitions are there. Actually, they don't add to anything. See, the actual term is it is shape number. So these numbers will give you, or they are connected to a particular shape of the machine. So when you get a specific speed of say 30 for, when you get a specific speed of 30 or corresponding shape number value, you will select a turbo machinery which is like a centrifugal pump only. If you want the best efficiency, remember it is connected to efficiency. For efficient turbo machines, whatever range of specific speed is given, for that you have to select the corresponding machine. So for lower specific speed, the best shape is that of centrifugal pumps. For much higher specific speeds, the corresponding shape will be the axial flow machine. Okay, I think you have any doubts? Okay, if not, we will close it. We will continue tomorrow. Save.